and the government is ripping up the Resource Management Act, a law that has shaped how and where and what we build in New Zealand for more than 30 years, and for about that long we've been complaining about it. In its place, 2 new laws with a fast-track system for housing and infrastructure, stronger property rights, and a big shift in power away from councils. Business groups are calling it transformational, but some critics say it could come at a cost to the environment. To see what it means for one of the key sectors, we are joined by the chairman of the New Zealand Certified Builders, Nick Farrelly. Good morning to you, Nick.
Good morning.
I know there's a lot to digest from a lot of information yesterday, but from your perspective, is it going to be truly transformational for our building industry?
Yeah, certainly for our members, which obviously do a lot of residential, there's some fairly crazy inconsistencies between councils, and as you alluded to, certainly the no culture, and there are people that just no longer want to build or go ahead because they're just worried the cost and the never-ending will we get to the end of the old RMA. So certainly I think it's a good thing.
So if there's less, that we're told it's going to halve the number of consents we even need. If there are fewer consents required, is that going to result in more work because I don't have to trudge through the council to build a deck or a carport?
Yeah, it definitely will. More importantly for our members is that what it'll do is it'll make a continuity of work rather than having to wait for consents to go through this long-winded RMA process. It means that you can keep your staff longer, you can get one job rolling after another rather than being held up. And as I said, it actually makes people will actually want to build rather than say, look, I've got a building consent to go through and I've got to get the RMA tick in the box. Do I really want to do it?
So I think what you're saying is for builders, this could actually make it easier to do business. Yeah,
for the builders, it's actually, we're doing our job. There's not a lot of change in that respect, but it's actually getting to putting your first nail into the timber. It takes a long time for some. Sometimes you wonder why it takes so long. It's the paperwork behind the scenes that will speed it up for the guys and girls doing the work on the ground.
I guess for individuals and the country as a whole, we want to know, is it going to make it any cheaper to build if we're not having to spend so much money on consenting?
At the front end, definitely. I think it will make things a lot more simpler, and therefore will ease the costs and the burden of costs for the homeowner. They don't see a lot of return on a lot of times. It's just something they have to do. It's something that everyone's now, it's just part of building. But yes, in a nutshell, certainly on the consenting side, it will be cheaper.
Is there anything missing? Is there anything that you were really wanting to see in this legislation that hasn't made it through?
No, I do like the idea that it's certainly made it easier across councils. I think that's really important because quite often you could build in Auckland and you'd move to Wellington and it'd be very, very different and have very different outcomes for very similar projects. So I think the devil's in the detail. There's a lot of pages there to read, and I'm sure everyone's poring over it as we speak, but it's certainly, there's certainly some really good things there, and let's just hope that it actually gets through. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and I guess not just get through, but stay in, because we've seen previous governments throw out the Resource Management Act, bring in something new, and then the national government came in and threw out what they did and started again. Are you hoping that this is the end of that repeal and replace and rejig?
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be the end. I think every government's tried to have a crack at the RMA, and some have done more than others. This is it's huge. This is the biggest change, and a brave move to try and get through. I think everyone knows there has to be a change, and they know that we need to speed things up. We need to get the country moving. So hopefully it'll here to stay.
Yeah, here's hoping. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Nick Farrelly from the New Zealand Certified Builders Association. He is the chairman there.